Hi, welcome to my video. So in this video I'm going to talk about Fedora 40 and if anybody that's wondering should I upgrade to Fedora 40 now, it's not released yet, but I want to upgrade to Fedora 40. Yeah, go for it. Upgrade it. I did. But what I did basically, when I did upgrade it, is that the thing is, when you do the upgrade, like there's a website you can go to where you can update the next release. They talk all about it. But what happens with me when I upgraded, it gave me the Testin RPM Fusion Testin update, and I didn't want that, so I basically disable it because I just want to be on stable. I'm done with testing. I don't want to be on a rolling release. If I want to do some testing, I'll just go in Arch Linux or I'll go on Gentoo, because these are rolling release distributions. That's another reason why I stopped using Gentoo. I didn't really stop it. I still have my stage 4. I built up my Gentoo system. I still have the Gentoo system that I built up. I saved it as a stage 4 and I put it on a hard drive. So if I ever want to use Gentoo, I could easily just put it on a computer in like less than 20 minutes. Like 15 minutes I can set up that system and put it back on a hard drive. That's what's nice about Gentoo. With the stage 4 I can do that. But the thing about Gentoo is that it didn't really work too well on my B-Link, and I think it's due to the firmware and stuff like that. So basically it just didn't want to it would shut down my computer. It would not detect my Bluetooth. But since I put Fedora on that little box, it works really great. Bluetooth always works. It never shuts down. It works so well with that little B-Link. I love Fedora. I really do. I really love this distribution. Like, the more I use it, the better I like it. Before I did get off Fedora, I always liked Fedora. The reason why I don't use Fedora, or I'll stop using it, because I am an Arch Linux. Like, I was addicted to Arch Linux. Like, I really liked Arch Linux distribution, and it's really hard to let go when you really like an operating system a lot. It's really hard to let go of it. You know what I mean? And I've been using Arch Linux for a long time. I've just been a really big fan of Arch Linux. I still like Arch Linux. It's not like I don't like it. Arch Linux never do me wrong. The only thing is that I want to stay away from roll and release distributions, and what's to me what is close to Arch Linux when it comes to a stable system, I would say Fedora. It's like Arch Linux a lot in many ways. But what's nice about Fedora, I consider better than Arch Linux, is that they got a really good backend. A lot of things are tested out on Fedora first before anything else. Like, especially when it comes to Wayland, when it comes to systemd stuff. Pretty much a lot of the people that works on all that stuff all work on Fedora. So it's going to be the distribution that a lot of things, like, they're going to be testing it on Fedora first. Rod high, most likely. But a lot of the new features does come into Fedora releases. And then it gets into Red Hat eventually. So as you may notice, I switched to KDE, and I really like. Well, you probably noticed that in my previous video. I did switch to KDE. I really like KDE, but I find it kind of glitches out. But since the update, it's been pretty good. So it's been working really well. I really like KDE a lot. And I know, I always say, I like GNOME and KDE's buggy. KDE is buggy, but one thing I like about KDE is that it's a complete desktop. If I want to drag an icon and put it on the desktop, it will put it on the desktop, I think. Let's see if that really does it. Let's say I want to drag home. Just add folder view, add media frame, add icon. There you go. See, look, you can just add the icon, but you can't move it. And so you gotta go to edit mode to move it. All right. That's kind of weird, but it works. You click on it. Why is it doing that? So if you double click it, it will go. That's kind of weird. Anyways, you can add icons to the desktop, but it's not like Windows where it just makes a shortcut. I kind of like just making a shortcut, you know. But anyways, but KDE works pretty good. You can put desktop. You could also put desktop icons on the desktop, and it has a system tray. You know, you can actually customize your panel bar. You can move them around. As in with GNOME, like I said this in the past, they took out a lot of features that I like, and also you cannot move like the panel bar around. I mean, there's extensions that you can put the panel bar on the bottom, but like you just can't you can't customize it like you can do with KDE. And KDE has a lot of themes. You can theme it up really easily. It's all built into the system. And I know they got a big thing about, you know, like people can do things with the theme and all that, but I just use the default theme. I just basically use Tokyo Night color scheme, and there you go. Plasma just crashed. Yay! This is the life of NVIDIA GPU. But it crashed, but I don't know. It seemed to not been a bad crash. It just kind of crashed. But yeah, Fedora was supposed to come out on April 16th because I checked the date, and it was saying that it's coming out. It like when you search it up, it was saying that it will be released April 16th. But I noticed that yesterday night it was still not out. I'm like, they're probably gonna release it on the 23rd. And then I checked the release again at work this morning, actually like 2 or 3 in the morning. I checked it, and it says April 23rd. So we should get it next Tuesday. So that'll be on the 23rd right here. So yeah, that's not too bad. I can wait. I'm already on Fedora 40 anyway, so I'm not sure like if that's gonna like there's no upgrade really. I think I'm pretty much updated, to be fair. Even if you go into like discovery, well, I think if it doesn't say in DNF, it definitely won't say it in here. So yeah, everything's pretty updated on the system. So my Fedora has been updated. I'm so used to like be on a rolling release like that. I'm always looking for updates because that's how Arch Linux rated. Like you always had updates. And do I miss Arch Linux? Yes, I do miss Arch Linux. I miss using Pacman. I really like Pacman Package Manager. It's one of my favorite package managers. If not, it is my favorite package manager. I do miss it. I wish that I could use Pacman on Fedora. That would be kind of interesting. But DMF is not bad either. It's just I do like Fedora a lot though, and it's been very stable. Like yeah, like you had that crash, but it wasn't like anything bad. KDE is supposed to get and I think in 6.1 is supposed to be implicit sync, whatever. So that's supposed to like, especially for NVIDIA cards, like things that are glitching out and stuff like that, or just things are not working right. Like it's because the application is not rendering or not syncing in properly with NVIDIA card, whatever. So this new update is gonna basically fix a lot of the things. And that's coming out in next month in May. So yeah, 6.1. Well, I don't think it's coming out 6.1 in May. I'm not sure, but I know that you can test it out in May. Also, there's going to be a beta NVIDIA drivers, which is 555. It's coming out next month, and that's supposed to fix a lot of things with Wayland for NVIDIA GPU. So that should be good. And NVIDIA should be pretty good. Like towards the end of this year, like I would say NVIDIA will be like on par with all the other GPUs. It'll work and function just like all the other GPUs. Also, but on top of it, you have the official drivers for NVIDIA as well on Linux. So as to AMD, you can't use a proprietary driver for AMD. And why people's like, why would you want to use a proprietary driver for AMD like you do on Windows? Well, for one thing, using the proprietary drivers for AMD, you get all the good encoders. So when you use OBS stuff like that, you do have like the encoders that really benefits a lot when you're doing a screencast. Like right here, like I'm using NVIDIA encoders to do this to do the screencast. So like because I have the the non-free, but even when I use well, yeah, because I have the non-free drivers, so it gives me all these codecs. But you can install them as well with Fedora Fusion, RPM Fusion. So I did. I'm not sure about AMD though. I know, like I couldn't get the. There's what's it called, AMF or something, or A something. Encoder or something. No, they had an encoder. I use it on Windows with the proprietary drivers for AMD. They have some encoders for that you can use with OBS, which work really great. A lot of people are gonna like say that AMD is always better, and they're always so mad against NVIDIA. I had a lot of good experience with gaming on NVIDIA on Linux. Actually, I never had any problems gaming with NVIDIA on Linux. As to AMD, I have. But AMD graphic card, just using the desktop, it works, like, it's really great. But when it came to gaming, I had some problems with my NVIDIA, my AMD GPU in the past. And I bought a NVIDIA GPU because I know it's really good for gaming, and it's also great for gaming on Linux, but it's really good for Windows gaming. So I do play my PC games, Steam games on Windows. I was with Linux, but then when we got that backdoor, I kind of just jumped on Windows on all my computers, and I just sort of just left Windows on. And I know people can be like, well, Windows is not even better, man. Like, why, if you don't think Linux is secure, you're going on Windows, it's not secure either. I'm like, yeah, I know. But there was no backdoor on Windows at that moment, so I just wanted to get off Linux and see what... Like, I just found out about this backdoor. I had no idea what was going on with that. Also, this Gia 10, let's just call him Tan 75. This guy that worked on the XZ, apparently they're accusing him for doing the backdoor. So why is his account not suspended anymore? Because if you check on GitHub, his GitHub is unsuspended. And I'm kind of confused by this backdoor. Like it's been hyped up, and then people have been talking about it. Then all of a sudden, no one talks about it. It's like people just forget about things really quickly. And me, I'm still thinking about it. Like I think about it every day about this backdoor, because it's like I'm thinking about Linux in general, like how it's not that secure. That's why I'm staying away from rolling release, because I really want to stick on stable. I think the best kind of Linux And a lot of people don't use it because of the stableness of this system. Debian stable is probably one of the most secure Unix-like system out there, apart from OpenBSD. But I find that OpenBSD and Debian, they're very similar, and same as FreeBSD. But because they focus more on stable packages compared to like always being roll and release. Fedora it's not a roll and release distro, even though people sometimes consider it is. I don't think so. I think Rawhide is more of a roll and release system, but I don't consider the release of Fedora. I look at it more like kind of like Pop OS, kind of like Ubuntu, but like Pop OS. Like, you know how Pop OS, they follow the Ubuntu base, but they they have like a higher version kernel, kind of similar to what Fedora does. I think they kind of just do what Fedora does, but uses the sort of, they could have just used Fedora base, to be honest. I probably would respect Pop OS more if it was Fedora base over Ubuntu, but because I know they don't use Snap either, and I know like people's like, just ignore it, and don't use it. It doesn't like it doesn't bother you. It doesn't bother me, I'm like, yeah, well, it's good for you. It doesn't bother you. Bothers me. What bothers me is that like I can just ignore it, and I've done that in the past. But I'm thinking like, I don't want to have this extra bloat. If I don't use it, why should I have it on my system? I don't want it on my system. I want Ubuntu to give us a choice. You know what I mean? Have a freedom of choice. Because I feel like I'm being forced to use Snap. Even though I don't want to use Snap, it's still always could be on my system. It's like, you want to install Firefox? Yeah, it's got to install a Snap version. Why can I install Firefox Debian version? Huh? Why would I go in the command line? Why is it using Snap? You know what I mean? Like, I don't like that. I don't want that. I don't agree with that. And that's why I don't use Ubuntu. Other than that, they make a really nice desktop. I like the way Ubuntu looks like. I think they do a fantastic GNOME desktop. If you want a good GNOME experience, I would say Ubuntu desktop is probably the best GNOME desktop out there. It should be the default desktop for GNOME, because GNOME is really too bare bone. I don't find it bad though. I think GNOME works really well. I'll give it credit. Like, it's very stable. I never had any issues with NVIDIA using GNOME 46 or 45. It's been pretty stable, no glitch and all that. Same as KDE is not too bad, but the flickering on Discord and on Steam, I still see it once in a while. I'll be sitting on my couch and I can see like my monitor from my bedroom, because that's where I have my ASUS computers, and I can see on the monitor that it's just flickering, because I see something flickering. I'm like, oh, there you go. It's pausing out again on KDE. With the NVIDIA GPUs, that's supposed to be fixed, but it's not going to be fixed anytime soon. It will be fixed. I mean, it will be fixed quite soon, but I mean, like, it won't be fixed now, like right now. So that kind of sucks. But anyways, guys, that's just my little rant. I really do like Fedora. I find that it's been working pretty good with me. I'm glad I went back to it. I know I stopped using it. I went back to Arch Linux, and I said I'm going to go on Gen 2. I know I was really planning to actually stick with Gen 2, but unfortunately, like, if one of my computers not running Gen 2 pretty well, I don't want to just use 2 or 3 different systems, because I hate that, because when I'm using a system and then I go to a different system, I'm always typing the command. I like the command for the package manager. I'll type it on another computer, and it's just because you get used to one system, and then you go on another computer, like, you just start typing that sort of system command line for a package manager. And yeah, I just like to have a consistent desktop, like all the same. desktops among, like, if I'm going to be using Linux, I want all my computers that I'm using Linux, I want it all to be on the same system. That's why I wanted to be all Gentoo, but the thing is, like I said, like, it's not working good on my B-Link, so I tried out Fedora again, and Fedora works really good on the B-Link. And I really honestly don't mind to use Fedora. I like Fedora. And at the end of the day, it's all GNU Linux, but I'm just saying, like, Fedora is a really good system. It has really good Btrfs support. I really like it for Btrfs, and I do like using Btrfs. So that's one thing I wasn't using on Gentoo. I was using XFS. I could set up a Btrfs. I just didn't feel like it. But I like Fedora for the fact that it sets it all up for you, and you just set up Snapper. You could use other tools. Probably I use Snapper, and it had all like the tools for Snapper, and I install the tools for Snapper, and I think it works really great. And that's another thing like about Fedora. And I like the fact that, you know, like, you have this installer. You know what I mean? Like, you can download Fedora Writer, and Fedora Writer can be run on Windows, can be run on Mac, it can be run on Linux. And what it does, you can get any ISO that Fedora has, all the ISOs Fedora makes. You can, in that program, you can actually download whatever ISO you want, or you can just get the workstation one, the official stable release. And just what it does, it'll create put a USB stick in your computer, and it'll create a USB installer on the USB, and you just boot it up, and then you can actually use the desktop, or you can install it. And they got a really nice installer. Like, it installs pretty quickly. It's keep it simple. And yeah, like, the whole setup process of Fedora is perfect. It's great. I think they do a really good job altogether, and I think the system is really stable. I had no problems with Fedora, except for NVIDIA. Could be a little crazy, but it's been working a lot better than it did in the past. Like with 38 and 37, 38 was pretty buggy with my NVIDIA GPU, but 39 and 30 and 40 have been really good on my GPU, but 38 was pretty bad. Well, 39, when I was testing out 39 last year with, was it last fall? Yeah, last fall. And I was testing it out on my NVIDIA card, but some reason, like, I don't know what was wrong, but it was like I was having problems with the drivers, like the NVIDIA drivers, and that's why I went off of Fedora before 39 got released. But this was during like the test ISO, or the pre-release system, so that could have been why. Because I did actually was on 39. I upgraded to 40, but I was on 39, and it worked really fine with my NVIDIA GPU. So yeah. So I don't know what the problem was. They fixed it. So it's been working good. Like 39. Been working good, and same as Fedora 40, of course. It's been working good with my, like, since I've been testing out Fedora 40 in February and until now. I stopped using it at the end of March. I tested out for about a month. Then I went off it, went back to Arch Linux, and then we got the backdoor, and then I basically left Arch Linux, went on Windows, and basically decided what distribution I was going to use. I was going to go with Gentoo, and then I had that problem with my B-Link, and then I just I was still going to keep it, but then I was thinking, like, you know what, I'm gonna try out Fedora again, but this time I'm going to try out Fedora 39 and see how well it works on my NVIDIA system and my B-Link. And I just stick with it, and I'm still here. I am still using it. I started off with GNOME Desktop. Now I still have I still have the GNOME Desktop. I just installed KDE, and I'm still using GDM, but I'm probably gonna put SDDM. So I will probably set that up later on. But yeah, I really like Fedora, and I think it's a working good system. I think anybody that wants a really good, stable, but it's not like stable like Debian. It's a little bit, it's in between like roll and release and stable. Like it's like an in betweener system, and it works really well. It got a release cycle, and a lot of things are developed on Fedora. A lot of developers use Fedora, and I think Fedora is a really great distribution. I really like it. I found my new Linux distribution, and you know how people like all start using Arch Linux, and then they kind of just jump on OpenSUSE, or they jump on Fedora or Debian. You know what I mean? And people want more of a stable system, and I think that's a smarter choice. You know what I mean? I like Arch Linux. I'll always test it out, but I'll test it out in a confined space where I don't want it to be on actual host, but I will test out. I'll test out Arch in the future on in a virtual machine. But other than that, like Fedora is gonna be my main system. So get ready for a lot of videos on Fedora, because that's what I'm gonna be using. And I will still talk about Arch Linux. Don't you worry about that. Good or bad, I'll talk about Linux in general. But yeah, Fedora is my main system, and that's what I use. By the way, I'm just kidding. Anyways, guys, have a good one. Cheers.